Have you ever felt really confident about something you said, a decision you made, or a step you took? And then later that night or the next day, it hits you? That little voice that says, wait, was that wrong? Did I sound stupid? Did I completely mess that up? You start replaying the moment over and over in your head. You question everything. And just like that, the confidence you felt is completely gone today. We were going to talk about exactly why that happens, why our confidence so often crumbles into doubt, and why it absolutely does not mean you are wrong, weak, or delusional. First, let's get something straight. Confidence isn't a permanent state of being. It's a temporary emotional signal from your brain. When you feel confident in the moment, your brain is focused on action. You're present, you're responding instinctively, you're not overthinking. But later, when the moment is over, a different part of your brain takes over. This part is designed to protect you from social mistakes, rejection, and embarrassment. So after the event, your brain goes back and reviews everything you did, not to punish you, but to look for any potential danger. The problem is, our brains are terrible at being neutral. They are much, much better at finding potential problems than they are at finding proof that we did a great job. So that confidence fades and doubt moves right in. Not because you were actually wrong, but because your brain is trying to protect you from future pain. For many of us, this pattern runs even deeper. If you grew up in an environment where your feelings were dismissed, your opinions were constantly criticized, you were corrected all the time, or you were punished for being wrong, your brain learned a very specific lesson. Being confident is dangerous. Because in your past, showing confidence might have led directly to embarrassment, correction, or rejection. So now, even when you do something well, your nervous system just doesn't trust it. It waits for the moment to pass, and then it starts checking. Was I too much? Was I wrong? Did I overstep? This isn't just low self-esteem. This is a nervous system that learned to doubt itself simply to stay safe. There's also something called delayed shame. In the moment, you feel strong, clear, and certain. But later, when you start imagining how other people might have seen you, shame creeps in. You begin seeing yourself through these imagined critical eyes. And those imagined eyes are usually incredibly harsh. You assume people judged you. You assume you sounded foolish. You assume you crossed a line. But here's the thing. Most of the time, that version of the moment only exists in your head. Other people have already moved on with their lives. The doubt isn't coming from reality. It's coming from your fear of how you might be perceived. Here's a secret that no one really tells you. Healthy confidence still includes uncertainty. Real, authentic confidence isn't about thinking I am always right. It's about accepting. I am allowed to make decisions without knowing everything. But if you were taught that making a mistake equals failure, or that being wrong makes you unworthy, then every confident moment feels incredibly risky. So later, your brain tries to undo it with doubt. Not because you failed, but because you were brave enough to try. Confidence often triggers vulnerability, and vulnerability always invites a little bit of fear. This brings us to self-trust, which is much harder to build than confidence. Confidence is a feeling. Self-trust is a relationship you build with yourself. Self-trust means, deep down, I can handle being wrong. It means, I can survive embarrassment. And it means you believe I can learn from my mistakes without completely destroying myself. If you don't trust yourself on an emotional level, your brain will never allow your confidence to last. It will pull you back into a state of doubt to keep you feeling controlled and careful. So what can you actually do when you notice this happening? First, don't argue with the doubt. Instead, just name it. Say to yourself, this is my brain reviewing for safety. This is not proof that I was wrong. Second, ask a better question. Instead of asking, was I wrong? Ask, is there actual concrete evidence that I did something wrong? I'm not talking about feelings or fears. I mean real evidence. And third, practice letting your confidence exist without immediately trying to rewrite it. You don't have to decide if you were perfect. You only have to allow yourself this. I was allowed to try. I was allowed to speak. I was allowed to choose. Just that alone is huge progress. If you often find yourself doubting your actions after feeling confident, it doesn't mean you're insecure. It usually means you learn to second-guess yourself to survive. You might not be in that old environment anymore. You're allowed to trust the version of you who showed up in that moment, even if they were imperfect, even if they were a little unsure, even if they were still learning. Your confidence doesn't disappear because it was fake. It disappears because you are healing. And learning to trust yourself again is one of the hardest and bravest things you will ever do. Thanks for watching.